just with the opportunity to serve all of you. And very, very happy to be here. So yeah, we thought this morning we can be very open. This is a very warm assembly here. We are all friends. We're all family. And here we can just try to speak very openly. Narottam Priya Prabhu gave a nice introduction of me, but actually I'm living proof that even someone who's not very impressive at all can also, by the grace of the Vaishnavas, make some advancement on this path. I grew up in Wembley. For those of you who have never been to Wembley, it's not the most impressive place in the world. And throughout my life, I've had different names. I was born with the name Sandeep. When I joined the temple, I became Bhakta Sandeep. That was an important addition. And when I took initiation, then I became Supapadas. And now I kind of roll around the world, and they call me a Swami. Behind all the names, just a simple soul, nothing that impressive. But we're all on this journey together, and it's incredible. Srila Prabhupada's grace really turns crows into swans. So I'm very happy to be here with you. So just to add that extra footnote to the nice introduction, that are just humble servant, and happy to share it with you. Right. So, yeah, that's just a reminder. There are some fines if the phone rings. So please, if you've not done so, please put your mobile phone on silent. Maharaj, we wanted to know when you were new to Krishna consciousness, what were some of the aspects of Krishna consciousness that attracted you the most? Wow, nice question to begin with. So what attracted me about Krishna consciousness? You know, from a young age, I was a little bit of a strange child. So I always found material opulence very difficult. I always felt embarrassed to have any kind of material opulence. For example, once my father, he brought me new trainers, new shoes, white sports trainers. So I always felt so embarrassed to go in school with new trainers. So I went in the loft of the house and I was walking around in all the dust just to get them dirty. And then I was walking around and my foot came through the ceiling and my dad was sleeping downstairs. Foot came out of the ceiling and then he had the new trainers on as well. What are you doing? So I was always, I liked simplicity. I liked minimalism. I was always thinking there's more to life than just material acquisition. And so when I met the devotees and they talked about simple living, high thinking, I thought, wow, this is exactly what I felt my whole life. So I very much appreciated this. I liked the philosophy very much. But one thing that really impressed me about the devotees is that they would say things like, oh, Krishna is making an arrangement. Oh, Krishna is playing a trick on us. Oh, I think Krishna is telling us something. And for me, this was mind-blowing because I had never thought of God as someone who's active in our life. Like God is up there, you're down here, you follow the rules, and he will be all right, you'll be all right, he'll get on with his life, you get on with your life, and everyone's happy. They started speaking about God as though he was active in your life day to day. So this was like fascinating. Wow, Krishna is actually talking to you. So that really impressed me also about the devotees. I don't know what to say. Prashad was used. And yeah, like they're starting things. Yes.
So on the topic of association, since you mentioned that was one of the key things that impressed you, um, in the five aspects of Krishna consciousness that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives, Bhagavad Sharan, Nam Sankirtan, Deity worship, Mathura Vas, and association of devotees, he says this is the most important. And this, I've heard you saying that this one thing, the association of devotees, gets us the other four. So we understand association of devotees is important. From our part as a practicing devotee, what are some tips that we can apply to ensure that those gem devotees would want to associate with us, or they would want to have us in their company?
Yeah, so how do we conduct ourselves in such a way that we can really benefit from Vaishnava Sangha? In Amritavani, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, you only really associate with devotees if you do three things. He says the number one thing is one must be very honest in their dealings with the Vaishnavas. If you are very honest, if you are very open, if you are very, very straightforward, then actually you are associating with devotees. So that's the first thing. And devotees will always appreciate someone who is very honest and genuine and very open. The second thing Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says is that one should try to follow the instructions and the advice which is given by the Vaishnavas. In other words, when you come to the Vaishnavas, they always have some good advice for you. And if you take it seriously and if you try to apply it in your life, then they will become more enthused to actually be present in your life. So he says this is the second thing that one should do. And the third thing he says that we should do in association of devotees is sincerely inquire, ask questions. When one, you see, Vaishnavas are like a treasure house of jewels. And when you ask the right questions, then what you can do is you can extract the jewels that the Vaishnavas have within their heart. It's explained in Shastra. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena katas. All the secrets of devotion are hidden within the hearts of the Vaishnavas. So if you become very expert in asking them questions and being inquisitive, then what you can do is you can extract those jewels. So those three things, yeah? So everyone remember? Number one? Honesty. Being honest. Wow. Okay. Very good. Number two? Try to follow the instructions. And number three? It's one. So when I first came to Apandavasena is our youth group in London. I was like 15, so I first came to the program. So I was new, but His Holiness Shivaram Swami was there. So I didn't know who is a Swami and who is a Prabhu, all this etiquettes. So at the end of the program, one of the devotees, he said to me, go and ask a question. He said, the Swami is here. You have to ask a question. So I said, but I don't have any question. He said, no, you have to have a question. It's the Swami, you have to have a question. I said, I don't have a question. He said, okay, if you don't have a question, ask for an instruction. I said, what do you mean instruction? I was new. I said, instruction? What do you mean by it? He said, just ask for an instruction. I came to Shivaram Swami. I don't know how many of you know Shivaram Swami, but very serious, very happy. So I said, Swamiji, can you give me an instruction? I didn't even know what an instruction was. Can you give me an instruction? I was 15 years old. And you know what he said to me? He looked at me and he said, don't be boring. He said, in your life, don't be boring. So I was like, wow, okay. Well, think about that. And to this day, when I wake up, oftentimes I remind myself, don't be boring. Do something wonderful with your life. Try to be on an adventure. Krishna consciousness is a movement of excitement. So, like this, you can ask questions. Get the deals.
Thank you. On that note, Maharaj, it should not be boring. Sometimes the things that, I think I give you an example. A couple of months back, somebody brought me a piece of Radha Raspberry's Maha cake, and I accepted it. I kept it on the table, and then after a while, I was just thinking that had this happened 15 years back when I was a new devotee, I would have been overjoyed. Oh, I got the Maha. This was on Radha Raspberry's plate. I would have finished it in a minute. Those same things, which really we took it literally when we were new. After a while, we tend to take it for granted. I'm just speaking for myself. So, how do we not let it get boring and keep the process interesting even as the time goes on?
Come and travel with me. I'm ready. You see, in Krishna consciousness, we always have to keep it fresh. We have to keep it alive. But how do we do that? Because oftentimes we're doing the same thing. It doesn't, once we were on Harinam and one person, he came to me, he said, I love you guys. You're always happy. You're always dancing. You're always smiling. But don't you guys have any new songs? Nothing changes. The song stays the same. The instruments stay the same. Philosophy stays the same. Everything stays the same. So if everything stays the same, then how do we keep it fresh? Therefore, what one has to do is, although everything is staying the same externally, the consciousness and the purity with which we do it has to be constantly refined, constantly deepened, constantly elevated. And so Krishna consciousness is a very, very internal process. If you just practice Krishna consciousness externally, then after some time it will become boring. But if you practice it in a very mindful, conscious, qualitative, attentive, intentional way, then what you will find is that the same thing actually becomes deeper and deeper and deeper. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was once in his ashram, and one maths professor, he came and he said, I see your students who have been here for 25 years and they still got their hand in the bead bag. I mean, haven't they graduated to higher things, So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave him an interesting example. He said, if you go into the kindergarten, the primary school, kids' class, then the teacher will be writing on the board A, B, C. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, if you go into the university lecture theatre, where a teacher is instructing his students in advanced calculus, then he will also write A, B, C. So one who is unintelligent will think it's the same thing. Why is he also still? but this is on a significantly higher level, although externally it looks the same. And therefore, Krishna consciousness is an incredible process, because the thing that you learn in day one is the thing that you'll be doing in the spiritual world. But you'll be doing it with a completely different level of consciousness. And so in Krishna consciousness, the means, the basis, and the goal is all the same.
Thank you. So Maharaj, you in one of your talks, I heard you saying that to progress in Krishna consciousness, we need the mercy of the Lord, and strong sadhana is the way to attract the mercy of the Lord. So in your books also, you are known for systematically presenting Shastra in a way that is easily acceptable also for a reader to read. So for us, in our personal study of Shastra, how can we have a steady, systematic approach to reading Srila Prabhupada's books?
The first thing is that at least touch the book every single day. What I tell people is, even if you don't open it and read it, just touch it. Just make a habit from tomorrow that at least touch the Bhagavatam every day. Then what will happen is, when you touch the Bhagavatam, you will think, maybe I should also open. And then when you open it, if you try to read a little bit every single day, then you'll be surprised how much you learn. On your phones, you can get an app. It's called Become a Sage, page by page. So it will tell you, if you want to read the Bhagavatam in 2 years, then how many pages do you have to read every day?
41.
41, no. 41 pages. Then you read the whole Bhagavatam in 2 years. So like that, first thing is consistency. Just try to touch the books every single day. Very, very important. Then the second thing is, try to read in association of others. So that means you can do a course, or that means you can discuss with other Vaishnavas. That means when you read and you have some question, then come and ask someone else. And through that discussion, Sadam Prasangan Mama Virya Samvido, explain that. Through that exchange and discussion with Vaishnavas, then everything becomes deeper. Everything becomes so much more meaningful. Like that. And then the third thing we tell people is that when you read, then try to also apply some of that information. Try to make a change based on what you've read. Try to allow it to transform the way you interact with the world. And when we take the knowledge and we bring it into the real world, then knowledge comes alive. Like this, if we do things like this, then gradually the Bhagavatam will become your best friend. Sanatana Goswami says in a beautiful prayer, Madeka Bandhu Mat Sangin Mad Guru Man Mahadana. He says, the Bhagavatam is my only friend. The Bhagavatam is my constant companion. The Bhagavatam is my spiritual master. The Bhagavatam is the source of all my happiness. And the Bhagavatam is constantly my Nishtaraka, lifting me up. So we have to make the books our best friends. They're the constant companion throughout life.
Much. And Maharaj, while we are reading Bhagavatam, there are certain sections which are just prayers after prayers, and sometimes it seems I just have to get through this till the next, at our level, the next interesting section of the Bhagavatam comes. So, any tips on how we should approach those extra philosophical sections or those sections where there are 100 verses of prayers or those kind of things?
In the beginning, when we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, then certain parts of the Bhagavatam will naturally be more interesting for us than others. So what we do is we just continue reading. Even if you are going through a section and it's difficult to understand, or if you're going through a section and it feels very repetitive, just keep reading. Because even if you're reading and your feeling is not completely entering your heart, then still we should understand that it's a cleansing process. Any time spent in the transcendental association of the vibration of the Bhagavatam will transform your consciousness. So just keep reading. But what will happen later on is that even in those technical sections, even in the sections which seem repetitive, one will begin to see more and more beauty. But in order to see the beauty in those sections, one's consciousness has to become more refined. And that refining of consciousness takes place through successive readings of the Bhagavatam. So don't worry. Sometimes you'll read and it will feel a little repetitive, but just continue on. And gradually, you'll be able to relish those parts in the future.
So, touching the books daily, reading the association of devotees, trying to go deeper and just going on. These will help us get deeper into the Maharaj, you had, like we were just with Brajari Prabhu right now, you had a lot of close association with Shruti Dharma Prabhu. Not many here know him very well because he would not come here that often. But we've heard so much about him, how he touched the lives of so many devotees, and so many devotees credit their spiritual lives only to him. If you could just tell us some things about Shri Dharma Prabhu, or maybe an anecdote that touched you.
Yes, in our life, saintly people come. Devotees are dangerous. I call the devotees agents of Vamandev. Because Vamandev came, isn't it? And Badi Maharaj says, what do you want? Says, I don't need much, just 3 steps of life. So the devotees, they come into your life, they say, you are, relax, just try to do this. And before you know it, they hijack to a different. So the Vaishnavas are very, very dangerous, very, very tricky. Very tricky. Shri Dharma Prabhu was one such transcendental person. I met him when I was very young. He joined the movement in late 1970s, just after Srila Prabhupada left. And he was an incredible person because he remained at Bhaktivedanta Manor in one place, serving for practically his whole life. It's not so easy to stay in one place and just consistently serve Krishna day in, day out. There are some unique souls in our movement who have such steadiness, such consistency, such commitment. Brajahari Prabhu is one of those also great souls. You see, your love for Krishna is shown by your commitment. In proportion to the commitment that you have in a relationship, that much love will come about. Why is it said that the love of the mother for the child is the highest and purest type of love in the world? Because the commitment of the mother is incredible. Even to this day, when I go home, my mother, the first thing she asks me, where are your clothes? I want to wash. It doesn't matter, in my life, all my relationships changed with my gurus, with my brother, with my father, even with devotees. But with your mother, the relationship never changes. It doesn't matter if you're a Swami. There is no difference. For your mother, you're just a kid. So it's a very amazing relationship because the mother is so committed to service. So these great souls, they were so committed to Srila Prabhupada's movement. In the beginning, we are asking the question, can I put faith in my Guru? Can I put faith in my Guru? Can I put faith in Krishna? But when we become more advanced, we ask ourselves the question, can Krishna put faith in me? Can my Guru rely on me? How trustworthy, how reliable have I become? The Sri Dharma Prabhu was one such person who the Vaishnavas could rely on, Krishna could rely on. And so he came into my life. And he started turning it upside down. Because he started telling me, there are other ways to live your life. You don't have to get a job. You don't have to live in the world. You don't have to get married. And he opened me up to other opportunities. And when I decided to join the temple, he also helped with convincing my parents. Because they say for Western people, the difficult obstacle to overcome is Mahapap. They've done many things, but for Indians, it's Baba. And mother and father is a big obstacle sometimes. He also convinced them that, he said to them, this boy is gone. Just leave him with us and sort him out. So I joined, and I was very fortunate. I saw him day in, day out. He would come into the temple. He was the first person in the temple. And at night, he would be the last person to leave. He showed up every single day for Krishna's service. When I joined the temple, he said, I got one piece of advice for you. When the alarm clock goes off in the morning, get up, dress up, and show up. This is the most important work in the world. I said, Michael, did I join the army? So he was very inspiring, a very lovable person. And yes, he took on a lot of anxiety for Krishna. Anyone who takes up any position in this kind of responsibility, especially a position like being a temple president, brings a lot of anxiety, brings a lot of complexity. But he took all of that austerity for Krishna. Once I said to him, Sri Dharma Guru, Prabhupada said, in the spiritual world, we will have ISKCON there. He said, brilliant. I hope I'm not the temple president. And the great lady. It will be different. So it's not so easy. In this movement, you take up responsibility. It becomes difficult sometimes. But the Vaishnavas, because they have love in their heart, they continue on. He was a great example like that. He was always encouraging others. A great soul, not just because they are great, but because what they do is they go into other people's lives and they empower them to also become great. That's how you know if someone is actually great. Because they, in their heart, want everyone else to also become great. In fact, they want others to become greater than them. And so like this, we were fortunate to meet such a saintly person. So in your life, especially in a place like Mumbai, where so many devotees are here, there are many, many gems, Vaishnavas, walking in this community. Many who have given their hearts to Krishna. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, Krishna say tomar, Krishna rite paro, tomara shakati aajje. So how will I get Krishna? I don't have Krishna, but you have Krishna. Krishna say tomar. Therefore, by your power, you can give me Krishna. The secret is try to find the Vaishnava who has captured Krishna within their heart. Try to find a Vaishnava who has captured Krishna by their service. And if you associate with such a Vaishnava, you may also receive Krishna by their grace.
I'll ask one last question and we'll go. Maharaj, when after a few years in Krishna consciousness, if we want to measure whether we are advancing or not from, say, 10 years back or 1 year back, is there a yardstick or something that we can apply to judge whether we are progressing or not rather than speculating?
You can eat more prashadam while you're advancing. So in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam is mentioned, Bhakti Pereshan Ubhavo Virakir Yatra Cheshta Kala Prabhalyamana Syayadhashnakashu Sustitu Sikshit Apayom Kasha. It's explained when you eat, three things happen. Tushi, you experience some pleasure of the tongue. Pushi, you become energized. All your senses become enlivened. And Shud Apayo, you become free from hunger. If these three things happen, then you can understand you have eaten properly. So similarly, the Bhagavatam says, if you actually practice Krishna consciousness, the first thing that should happen is just as you feel pleasure when you eat, you should feel a joyfulness. You should feel happy. If you're not happy, probably you're in Maya. You can't be in Krishna consciousness and not happy. So perhaps the most simple measure that you're advancing in Krishna consciousness is that you're becoming happier. Happy. And then the second thing is, just as when you eat, you feel all the senses enlivened, nourished, you get direct experience. So it's explained that as you advance in Krishna consciousness, you should experience the presence of Krishna in your life more and more. You should begin to perceive, yes, Krishna is talking to me, Krishna is interacting with me, Krishna is guiding me and moving me in certain ways. You should actually feel Krishna to be a reality. And the third thing that should happen, just as when you eat, you feel freedom from hunger. When you actually practice Krishna consciousness, then you should feel freedom from all material desire, all material attachment, all of those things that you are so attracted to. I want a house by the sea, color TV, 50 million gigabyte MP3. For all of these things that were so important to us, gradually they just become more instant. If these three things happen, number one, you feel happy. Number two, you feel experience of God, experience of Krishna. Number three, you feel detachment from material things. Then you listen and root.
And in the case where we are not able to feel these things, then the remedial measure must be
ask for your money back. Then we should look at the quality of our practice. Krishna consciousness is a science. So science means if you practice it with intention and attention, and you do the right action, then definitely it must work. So if these things are not happening, then it means there is a deficiency in one of these things: your intention, your attention, or your action. Something must be falling short somewhere. Otherwise, definitely this has to work.
Thank you so much. There's no room for speculation now when you've laid it out very clearly. We'll take some of the questions of the devotees.
They ask live or?
They've sent
Oh,
in
okay.
questions. Yeah. What are some of the qualities of Srila Prabhupada that you appreciate the most? Of so many, what are some of the?
I think for me, Srila Prabhupada was not, what impressed me about him was that he was always ready to tell the truth. He was not holding anything back. Even when he had to say something which was difficult for people to accept, he expressed it. And this is very, very powerful. When you meet someone who is completely truthful, who doesn't try to cover anything up, then you can understand this is a very, very saintly person. The Srila Prabhupada was very, very direct. He was very, very bold. He was very courageous. And he told people the absolute truth. And I think that was a very, very incredible quality for me. Because in my life, I felt everyone was saying something, but they were not actually saying the real thing. They were saying what they thought I wanted them to say. But here was someone who was just saying it as it is. This is very one quality that I really appreciate in Srila Prabhupada. And I think the other quality in Srila Prabhupada is compassion. That Srila Prabhupada was willing to make any sacrifice, undergo any difficulty, and expend all his energy to help others. For me, this touched my heart. His Grace Brahmananda Prabhu tells the story of how one day he was with Srila Prabhupada right from the morning. Prabhupada woke up, he did his translation work, he gave the morning class, then Srila Prabhupada went out to see a property, then he met some reporters, then he came back, he met the devotees, then again he went out for an evening program. After a whole day of serving, Ramananda Prabhu and Srila Prabhupada were in the back of a car. They were coming back to the temple. And as you know, Brahmananda Prabhu was healthy, to say in India. And so Prabhupada was so tired that Prabhupada began to doze off. And as he began to doze off, then he came right into Brahmananda Prabhu's lap. So Brahmananda Prabhu was in the back of the car and Prabhupada was lying on his lap. And Brahmananda Prabhu looked at Prabhupada and he looked at his spiritual master and he saw he has given every last bit of energy. Srila Prabhupada didn't hold back any energy. He gave everything. And in that moment, Brahmananda Prabhu realized this is pure devotional service. Because Srila Prabhupada didn't hold anything. Oftentimes we are holding back. One for Krishna, and then Krishna. And no, Srila Prabhupada, everything for Krishna. Such compassion. So yeah, well, we could talk about Prabhupada.
Thank you, Maharaj. One devotee asks, what are some signs that we are slipping away from Krishna consciousness?
What are some signs that we are slipping away from Krishna consciousness? The first thing is that one is seeing faults. One sees faults in the temple. One sees faults in the devotees. One sees faults in the philosophy. As soon as one begins to see more and more faults, as that becomes more and more prominent in one's mind, then one can understand that the trajectory of their spiritual life is going in not such a good direction. Another classic sign is that one is becoming further and further away from devotees. One doesn't meet the devotees, or if one meets the devotees, one doesn't speak deeply to the devotees. So like this, one can understand, as soon as you become distant from devotees, as soon as there's a gap, then this means the trajectory of spiritual life is going in a dangerous direction. And then I guess one more thing we could say, definitely that's a warning sign, is that one is becoming neglectful of their day-to-day commitments. The day-to-day vows and the commitments and the practices, if we begin to become inattentive and mechanical in those, then one can understand that this is also a warning. These are some.
Thank you, Maharaj. Very objectively for us to understand. This devotee asks, in daily activities, we do many such things like going to college, doing work. How do we understand whether an activity is our decision or it is the will of the Lord? When we are getting into a situation, how do we understand whether that's the will of the Lord or that's us doing something right or wrong?
Everything is ultimately going on under Krishna's plan. Even when you make a decision, it cannot be carried out until Krishna wills it, because Upadrasta Anumanta Cha, Krishna is the overseer and the permitter of everything. So we make a decision. We always make decisions. But what we try to do is we try to align our decisions. We try to align our will with Krishna's will. And then we know that whatever's happening in our life is Krishna's will, is Krishna's plan. And therefore, whenever one has to make decisions in life, always take the advice of the Vaishnavas. Don't make decisions independently, especially big decisions. Because when you make decisions independently, then you may be making the decision according to your mind. Whereas when you make decisions in consultation with the Vaishnavas, then you can more clearly hear Krishna's desire in that situation. Like that.
Then coming back to association of devotees. Thank you. One devotee asks, sometimes Maya becomes so strong that we fail to follow the instructions of our superiors. So how do we stay strong and deal with such situations?
So sometimes Maya becomes so strong that we can't follow the instructions. Then one should go to the superior and say, I can't follow your instructions. Can you give me another? But at least one should be honest. Maybe they can help you to understand what is the block. Why can't you follow the instruction? You see, in spiritual life, one must always discuss. One must always talk. One must always reveal the heart. Even if one is struggling, don't struggle alone. Struggle and open your struggles by trying to take help from the Vaishnava. So even if you feel Maya is so strong, you cannot follow the instructions of Vaishnavas, then don't avoid the Vaishnavas. My God, I can't follow them. Avoid them. No. then at least go to them and express your weakness and try to get help.
Don't struggle alone. Thank you for that.
Shall we ask some of them, like live?
Sure, Manish. I'll just ask from this devotee asks, Maharaj, how do I deal with thoughts of pride and lust?
Oh my God, that's a long seminar. We are dealing with anarthas which we have had for many, many lifetimes. So these things are not going to disappear immediately. Just like when Ram was shooting one of the heads of Ravan, and then after some time it would again reappear. So sometimes it feels in our life like that. We feel as though we've overcome something and then boom, comes up again. And therefore, if you ultimately want to conquer over pride and lust, then you have to develop the antidote, which is humility and love. And humility and love go together, just like pride and lust go together. And therefore, the more that one becomes humble, engages in devotional service, taking the humble position, always putting their own desires to one side and trying to serve according to the wishes of the Vaishnavas and Krishna. When one takes that humble position, then in that humble heart, then love comes about. And when that love comes about, then there's no room for lust. And so the ultimate thing we have to do is try to develop humility and love.
This devotee asks, how do we cultivate gratitude so that we feel that we don't feel that we're getting less than what we deserve? How do we develop a sense of gratitude for the devotees?
So in Sanskrit, gratitude, the Sanskrit word for gratitude is krita gya. Gya means to know, and krita means that which has been done. So the literal meaning of the word gratitude in Sanskrit is to know what has been done for you. In other words, if one becomes very reflective, if one becomes very, very introspective, if one looks back at their life, and if they're very honest, then they will realize before the Vaishnavas came into my life, before Srila Prabhupada came into my life, I was basically nothing. And whatever I am today, whatever I'm able to do in my life today, is only a result of the mercy of the devotees. And when one is constantly registering that, then what happens is whatever the devotees offer, one will always feel an increasing gratitude, because one realizes that I was undeserving, I was nothing, and I've become something by their grace. And so one will never feel that they're not getting enough, but they'll always feel like getting more than what I should get. So it needs, one has to contemplate, one has to become very slow.
Okay. So now if your question wasn't read, and there are many, so you can raise your hand, the microphone will be sent to you. But there's one catch, you have to complete your question in 20 seconds. The spare mic? Sure, yes. You can start with Mataji. Give the mic. So we'll just, for logistics purpose, we'll first take questions in the front half of the room and then we'll go back.
Hare Krishna and Keshava Swami Maharaj, I'm so grateful today. Indeed, gratitude to you. You have been virtually in my living room from the time COVID began till date.
There must be a virus on the
And I physically follow you as wherever I can, just to hear you. And thank you for enlightening me in so many avenues where I thought I took it so much for granted. So my consciousness has evolved many times.
Thank you.
When you travel all over the world, how do you carry your lineup? I hope you don't mind that. Does it go in buckets or you might carry it?
That is a big secret. So this danda was it collapses like a snooker key. Yes. No, there's so the danda has 3 bamboo sticks. The 4th bamboo stick is the jiva. So generally, so we have different dandas, like you have different cricket bats, like. So my original danda that I took in, which I received with sannyastas in London. So this is like a travel danda. So it collapses. So like that, we have different. Done. In my life, I never wanted to stick out. Now I'm sticking out.
Oh, yes. As you were saying that we should dedicate some of the time for reading, but sometimes it doesn't, it's not fitted for a particular life. So if we take out some 10 minutes, 20 minutes pockets in between 24 hours, is it good to read in those pockets?
So you said reading doesn't fit into your life. So then maybe we need to change love. Right? You see, Krishna consciousness is not something that we're meant to fit into our life. Once there was a person, so he had a cup. And he said, I got a big stone, I got some sand, and then I got water. And I want to fit it all in this cup. So if you put the water first, and then you put the sand, and then you try to put the big stone in, it's a big mess. But if you put the big stone in, and then you put the sand, which goes in all the spaces, and then you pour the water in, which is absorbed within that substance, then everything fits in properly. At a certain point, if you really want to find Krishna, then you can't just fit Krishna into your life. At a certain point, if you say, in this life, I have to find Krishna, so many lives I missed the opportunity. In this life, I have to find Krishna. Then you have to make Krishna a priority. You see, once a man, he was traveling to the Himalayas, so he came into the hotel overnight to then begin the ascent. In the morning when he woke up, he gave the keys to the receptionist and he started walking out. He noticed there was a snowstorm. Nobody was outside. And he continued walking. And the receptionist shouted and said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to the peak. The receptionist said, but there's a snowstorm out there. He looked back at the receptionist and he said, my heart has already reached the peak. Therefore, for my body to reach, it's just a formality. So the point is, has our heart reached the goal? If your heart has reached the goal, then you will make the arrangements in your life to make it happen. Srila Prabhupada, he came with a challenge because he delivered the Bhagavatam. And the Bhagavatam begins, Dharma projita gaitamo traparamo. This Bhagavatam kicks out all cheating religion. Because all cheating religion tells you, go on in your life and just do a little bit of this. But the real religion, Saved Pumsham Paro Dharmo, Yado Bhakti Radok Sujay, is that Krishna should pervade every aspect of your life. So it's difficult. And we have to make difficult decisions. If you want to achieve what other people don't achieve, you have to be ready to do what other people wouldn't do. And that means you have to take a risk. And that means you may have to turn your life a little bit upside down and make sure Krishna gets priority. Because if you make Krishna the priority, then Krishna will appear in your life. That's the decision that all of us have to make. So it doesn't mean overnight you just have to leave everything behind. If you want to, we can speak. But if not, no problem. But it means gradually start to re-engineer your life so that Krishna gets priority.
Any questions? Okay.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, thank you so much. Very grateful to be in your association. Maharaj, can you, when you read the Bhagavatam and when you have your me time and when you're able to sit down and study Srimad Bhagavatam, how do you approach and what are the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam? What how does your taste, what's the taste that you have already developed that taste to study Srimad Bhagavatam, to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam?
Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains, Krishna Tulya Bhagavata Vibhu Sarva Shrai Rati Shloke Rati Akshare Nana Arthakai. It's a very, very powerful verse. He says, Krishna Tulya Bhagavata. Krishna and Srimad Bhagavatam is so different. Bhagavatam is Krishna. Vibhu Sarva Shrai. Just as Krishna is unlimited, Bhagavatam is unlimited. So the first thing is, when we open the Bhagavatam, you should think, now Krishna is speaking to me. Try to be in this mentality. Now what will Krishna tell me? Now how does Krishna want to guide me? Now what does Krishna want to illuminate my heart with? And what you will find the amazing thing, Prati Shloke, Prati Akshare, Nana Arthakai. You will see that the same verses, the same syllables have unlimited meanings and appear to you in unlimited ways at different parts in your life. Therefore, when you're reading the Bhagavatam, you're never reading the same book. Because Krishna is always speaking to you in a different way, although the words are the same. Because Bhagavatam is Krishna. And in every word, there's unlimited ways in which Krishna will express his heart to you. So eventually we want to get to that point where we just open the Bhagavatam, as I was explaining this morning, and we just stay there. Once I asked one of our devotees, he's an investment banker in London, I said, what did you do on Sunday? He said, I started reading the Bhagavatam. 10 o'clock. I said, and then what did you do? He said, I carried on reading. I said, yeah, I got it. And then what did you do? He said, no, but then I just carried on. I said, when did you stop? He said, I started at 10 o'clock in the morning and I finished at 9 o'clock in the evening. So I was thinking, wow. I'm happy to know there are devotees in our movement who can stay with the Bhagavatam for 11 hours. Why? Krishna Tulya Bhagavata Vibhu Sarva Shrai Prati Shloke Prati Akshare. But that requires time. So one must spend more and more time. The moments you spend with the Bhagavatam are moments in eternity. Those moments, you'll never regret it. Those moments will never be wasted. Those moments are in your eternal bank account. So the wise Vaishnavas spend more and more moments with the Bhagavatam. That's your sadhana.
Wait. Yes, bro.
Thank you, Maharaj, for this wonderful way of how you present the philosophy. It really touches the heart. I have a very simple question, a very basic one, which you have answered sort of, but still I would like to ask. Uh, it is about how to strengthen our conviction to practice consciousness. Because although we are hearing the philosophy, we are hearing from different devotees and we are trying to practice it, but somehow the conviction is really going down at some point of time. And it feels as if we are trying mechanically and it is not happening, that inspiration in the heart is missing. So, okay.
So sometimes you feel you're practicing Krishna consciousness and it's becoming mechanical. Inspiration is going down. So what should you do? So we always have to try to put ourselves in a situation in spiritual life where Krishna can appear. If Krishna appears in your life, then immediately you will get enlivened. You will get inspired. You will feel, wow, there's something here. It's not just a theory. So the trick of spiritual life is to always place yourself in a situation where Krishna will become very, very active. So then the next question is, what are those situations that you can put yourself in where Krishna will become very, very active? So there could be many, many answers to that question. One is when you try to share Krishna consciousness with others. That is a situation in which Krishna becomes very, very active. I was telling you this morning, some of my most memorable and magical experiences were on book distribution. Because when you go out and you try to help, then Krishna becomes very, very personally involved. That's one situation. Another place where Krishna becomes very, very active and alive is when you take a risk for Krishna. Because when you take a risk for Krishna and you say, Krishna, I can't do this, now I rely on you, then Krishna will have to come to help you. And so when you take a risk for Krishna, then what happens is you experience Krishna more. Another place where Krishna becomes very, very active is in relation to his pure devotees who have captured him within their heart. And so, if one becomes connected to such Vaishnavas who are interacting with Krishna, then by dint of being close with them, one may also feel some of that reciprocation of Krishna in their own life. So like this, the devotee is very, very smart. What they do is they strategically place themselves in situations and places where Krishna is very, very active. And if you do that, then Krishna consciousness will be alive. It will be a living theology. And then you will never feel a lack of inspiration. No.
After this, we'll send the mic here. Just speak your close by.
As the morning you are referring this verse to Narottam. So at night you are quite viewed as woman. So how we can practice this? Fixing our mind to Krishna.
So how do you fix your mind to Krishna? Because we are quite new and the mind is going in many, many different places. Therefore, it's explained, Jena Dena Prakarena Mana Krishna Viveshye. Use different words. So why do we make vows? We take vows in our life because then that ensures at these times in the day, our mind will be connected to Krishna. Why do we do sadhana in the morning? So that when we connect with our deepest identity first thing in the day, then when we're going out in the day doing different things, then we'll never forget what is our deepest identity. Why do we spend time with Vaishnavas who are conscious of Krishna? Because by hearing from them, we also become conscious. So the whole culture of Krishna consciousness, whether it be the morning sadhana, whether it be the community, whether it be the vows that you take, all of this culture of Krishna consciousness is so that eventually your mind is just filled with Krishna. So in the beginning, one has to force a little bit. Just like the gopis once came together. So they were speaking to each other and they were asking each other, what did you dream about Krishna last night? The one gopi said, I dreamt this about Krishna. Another one said, I dreamt this about Krishna. And then finally they looked at Srimati Radharani and they asked, they said, why you tell us what you dreamt about Krishna? And she looked at them and said, dreamt about Krishna? All night I was thinking about Krishna, I couldn't go to sleep. So, like this, eventually Krishna just hijacks the mind. Therefore, Krishna's name, Manohara, steals the minds. So, we're waiting for Krishna to steal our mind. And until that happens, then we consciously, through our commitment, try to focus our mind. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
So for everyone, the button just goes up, and that's the mic will switch on in 2 seconds.
Maharaj, thank you so much for being our Siksha Guru. Your instructions help us progress in the mission service. Maharaj, I had actually asked you on the acronyms to develop humility. So whenever you have that opportunity, please share it with us. So Maharaj, based on today's class, my question is, so I came to Krishna consciousness when I was like 24 years old, just after marriage. So everything was very nice because devotees told us, do the Holiness samskara, have nice Krishna conscious children. So everything was progressing very nicely. It was actually like being in the spiritual world. Every Sunday go to the temple, morning 4:30 to 1:30. Every Sunday it was like that. After the Sunday we go home. Everything was very wonderful. Krishna consciousness was so blissful, enjoyable. Until
There's
just
a bug
before
coming up, but
so I have two daughters, 18 and 15-year-old. So everything was wonderful and we were in the spiritual world. And daughters doing Mangala Aarti, taking turns every day, going to Gopal's Garden High School. It was very, very wonderful until the COVID time. So when the COVID time happened, there was no personal association. We couldn't go to the temple. And everything was online, the school was online. So typically we had to take mobiles and laptops to our children. And they monitored because 24 hours they were on the laptop. And so now I find that they have already got the Paramrishwa Nivarta, they've already got the highest case. But later on, now what I'm realizing is, while it was awesome, 4:30 to 1:30, I got to know from senior devotees that you should not have done that. It was too much for them to take it at that time. Morning 4:30 to 1:30, So now they want to explore other things, Maharaj. So, at least I thought that, if Prabhupada says you give them the greatest foundation when they are young, their path is set. Because I had to, at age of 24, I gave up tea, coffee, only garlic. These children have been practicing Ekadashi right from their birth. They never had. But then, when they come into teenage, they want to explore other things.
Sure. Are they here today? They're not here, right? Okay. That's all right. Then we can talk. Just check. Mataji, this is a mother's anxiety. This will always go on. Even if they are good devotees, still you will have anxiety about your children. It's a mother's anxiety. You have to worry about your kids. See, the thing is, you gave them Krishna. You planted the seed. You gave them your love. Now you cannot force them. When you plant a seed, you put it in the ground, you pour water on it, and then you have to wait. You can't just keep pouring water on it, water on it. It's not coming, it's not like, oh, water. You can't force. You see, kids have to experience what they have to experience. Some people learn by hearing, some people learn by observing, some people learn by experiencing, and most people don't learn in any of these ways. You're living in Mumbai, it's a big city. Lots to explore. What can we do? We give good advice. And then, difficult as it is, you have to give them independence. Because even Krishna says to Arjuna, Itite jnanamakhyatam bhuyatu maya vimrashe tadasheshena yata ichha. But they will always come back. Because joining Krishna consciousness is like joining the mafia. You can't leave because you know too much. Too much information. So no matter how much you try to enjoy out there, even if they won't be, but even if they're in a nightclub, they will be thinking about it. The devotee is gone better than this. Don't force too much. Be happy. Encourage them. Always get Keshava. And then wait. Everything will happen in time. Question?
And again, just a request, if you can, because we just have 20 minutes left. Maharaj has a tight schedule. You can limit your question 20 seconds. And
Imagine again stepping into the unknown, out of our comfort zone for some spiritual desire, and it doesn't work as expected, or it is.
It always works. Nelson Mandela said, I never lose. I either win or I learn. I never lose. Either I win or I learn. If you take a risk for Krishna out of sincerity, and you do it with a genuine motive to try and come closer to Krishna, there's no way you can lose. There's no way you can fail. Because Krishna is Bhavagrahi Janardana. So just try your best. Srila Prabhupada never failed, even though every single one of his plans didn't necessarily work out. Because every time he seemingly failed, it was just Krishna taking him to a bigger plan. Sometimes, when I went out on book distribution first, the devotee said to me, the art of book distribution is to learn to take a no in style. Because you go out on the street, have you got time? No. Are you interested? No. Are you having a good day? No. Do you have any dreams? Wow, 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 wow. The whole day, no, wow, wow. You just take it in style. No problem. Have a good day. Move on to the next person. And later on, I realized this isn't just the art of book distribution. This is the art of life. Because you will have a plan and Krishna will be like, no. And then you want a relationship with this person, Krishna will say, no. And then you have a desire and Krishna will say, no, it's no, no. Then you just have to look at Krishna and say, okay, have a good day. And when we was going to try again. It's okay. Roger Federer lost 50%. I said, wow, we're them tired right now. You may lose points, but you always win the game. We can't lose. I think. You know that. All right, is that okay? Sorry, I interrupted your question. What point?
Next question. Who has the mic? Who should talk?
Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much for your association that you're giving us, the Glorious Association. Yesterday, few of the Krishna Bandhus got your personal association and they had a talk with you, and that time they told you how we are doing preaching and all. And today, like just like Pandav Sena, we have more of the Krishna Bandhus. Can they raise their hands?
Haribo, wonderful. And which city are you all from?
Yeah,
all over India. Okay, so you all have an online program.
So it's like an online congregation. So yesterday you inspired us a lot and boosted our enthusiasm. So today after this we are going for train, Sankirtan and book distribution. So my question is, Maharaj, that what should our mood be while preaching or doing book distribution? Thank you so much.
So what should one's really be when they go out and they try to distribute Shaitan's book? You see, the moment when you meet someone on the street and you give them one of Srila Prabhupada's books, it's a life-changing moment. See, we look at it and we just say, a few jokes like this, boom, boom, boom. They give some luxury, we give the book. And after 2 minutes, everything is done. We may not understand the significance of that moment. That moment could be a turning point in an eternity. Because it's the moment when Bhakti Ladna Beach, one may receive the seed of devotion. And so when we go out on book distribution, it's the greatest adventure. Because you don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what way Krishna will use you as an instrument. But basically, our mood is, now let me be an instrument, a puppet in your hands, Krishna. Now, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And like I said this morning, there are people out there, they're just waiting. All you have to do is touch the pavement, train, and go out there. So just try to be an instrument and just try to pray to Krishna. Now, who do you want me to elect? Did you? And in that way, you'll have the most amazing stories. So thank you for being brave. It's not so easy to go on the street. You get rejected. Like once I was on the street, I said, I'm a traveling monk. Person looked at me and said, just keep traveling. They reject you. People make fun of you. They laugh at you. It's really good. It's still a good now. But one thing is for sure. When you go out on book distribution, you'll feel very close to Srila Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada came more than alone. Prabhupada came to America in 1965 And all he had within was his books. And Srila Prabhupada himself in Delhi was going stall to stall trying to distribute books. So when you're out there and it sometimes feels a little bit alone, like you're getting rejected, then you can just remember, I'm never alone. Srila Prabhupada is with me. And wherever the devotees are distributing books, then definitely Srila Prabhupada's attention and participation is very much with attention.
This question is by my sister who wanted to attend but is in a different country right now. So she asked, some people say it is important to do devotional service even if you are not compassionate or kind, but as scriptures, you automatically develop these qualities. As per scriptures, you automatically develop these qualities. Yet normally we don't see this in everyone. How do we reconcile?
We don't see what in every these qualities. In devotees, you mean?
Some people say it is important to do devotional services, even if you're not compassionate or kind. And as per scriptures, it is said that you will develop these qualities automatically
By doing devotional
Yes,
service.
but yet we don't see it normally in people.
In people means in devotees. Do what? So, in your revolution. So sometimes we see devotees are engaged in devotional service, but they may not have good qualities. Sometimes the devotees may be a little bit harsh. Sometimes the devotees may seem to be a little bit intolerant. One devotee came to Prabhupada and he said, I can't tolerate this devotee anymore. Prabhupada said, you have to tolerate him just as I'm tolerating you. And sometimes we feel, why haven't the devotees developed all of these qualities? Mataji, we are works in progress, just now coming. Qualities just now coming. It takes time. We're in a hospital and everyone's getting better. And different individuals are at different points in their recovery. And therefore, they're all engaged in devotional service, but they all may not be pure devotees at this moment in their journey. Yet, they're engaged in the pure process of devotional service, therefore, they are worshipful, they are special. And therefore, every devotee, even a devotee who hasn't developed all the saintly qualities, is still considered an exalted soul because they are on this path. And so it's just a matter of time. You have a green mango and you have a ripe mango. Both are mangoes. But one, just the sweetness of it appears in time. So therefore, yes. But having said that, I think there is something to be said in our movement that we should become more kind. Sometimes what happens is when we have such a high philosophy and we have high standards, and we focus so much on the standards that we forget to be human and kind with each other. So therefore, we should be nice to each other. It's okay. When you walk past someone in the corridor, you can stop and say Hare Krishna. You can smile. You can offer some help. If we create a community where there's more kindness, more love, then many more individuals will want to stay. And so we also have to develop that human aspect within our devotions.
What's the mic? Let's go.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. First, my apologies is history. It has been a wonderful last 2 days. I've been hearing your Bhagavatam class yesterday and today also. This is a question from the yesterday's Bhagavatam class, which you gave. In one of the things you mentioned that as a devotees, when we come into Krishna consciousness, we have to follow the four regular principles. Now, at the beginning, this may sound very difficult to us, but even more difficult than that is to be humble, to be tolerant, give respect to other and won't expect respect for others. Now, we say, right, Tilnaki solution. Now, when I look into, especially I talk about myself, following four regular principle has been not difficult. I've been in Krishna consciousness for the last 12 years. But every day when I think about following the Tilnaki solution, it gets really tested. While driving in the mobile traffic or boarding the local train.
Don't say your wife, no?
Yes, of course, there's few people devotees so we have some understanding. But then even, within the temple, I was serving prasadam or even standing in your prasadam, this Naravi Sunita I get really tested and I find that I fail almost all the time. So how do we,
Even that you are failing, that means you are advanced. Before we were proud and we never even knew it. Before we were intolerant and we didn't even notice it. But now when we experience our own intolerance, when we see the pride in our heart, then immediately we think, no, it's not be like. That in itself shows that your values have changed. Now the next progression will be that gradually your activities will. And the next progression after that is that your heart. You are making progress. But to become humble is not an easy thing. Actually become humble, to actually take oneself out of the center, to actually become just a servant. This is very, very exalted. It takes a journey, long time. So, yes, you are advancing, you're on the path. And remember, just try to take a humble position. Always try to be you fill your life with service. That would be very wonderful. All these qualities become. The mic here. Who has hand raised?
I often my obeisance in the lotus feet. Maharaj, I wanted to ask a question. That in today's modern world, you can see there are a lot of psychological disorders which are coming in because due to interaction with this material world. So how we can deal with these psychological disorders and various type of manipulation which we face in the material world. And in the name of solution, many psychologists are coming up with the theory of dark psychology. So how, with the help of Krishna consciousness, we can give solution to these psychological disorders?
Krishna spends so much of the Bhagavad Gita speaking about the mind. Krishna says, mind can be the greatest strength or the worst enemy. So therefore, the ultimate way when Arjuna says, Chanchalam ipana Krishna pramati balabhadridam tasha am nigraham manye vayurivas. Arjuna says, Krishna, the mind is so chanchal, I think it's more difficult to control the wind. And then what does Krishna say? Samsayam mahabhavo abhyasena tu kaunteya vairati. Krishna says it's a samsayam. Definitely is difficult. But Krishna says abhyas, by practice, and vairagya, by detachment. By this double process, then Krishna says you can bring the mind down. However, for some individuals, the complexity of the mind means that they may also need some help medically, some therapy, some kind of other treatment which can help to make the mind more peaceful. So the spiritual process is the ultimate solution. And then there are material things that you can do as temporary solution. and both can be used. Right? Just like if I ask you, who is more important, the nurse in the hospital or the doctor? Who's more important? Doctor? Say, let me ask you a different way. Would you like to be in a hospital where there's only doctors? Option A. Or would you want to be in a hospital where there's only nurses? Option B. Only doctors. Then you might die before they come. And people are always saying, by the time the doctor comes, you may be gone. And if you're in the hospital where it's only nurses, then day to day you may be surviving, but you're never going to get out of the hospital. So therefore, we need some immediate solution. Someone is having very heavy issues psychologically. We can't just tell them, Prabhuji, Cha, Hare Krishna. Yes, ultimately, definitely. But right now, I need some immediate. So then you need some help. But then you must realize that that help won't get you out. What will get you out is only if you connect your mind to Krishna. Okay? So we need to take advantage of both elements.
Let's go.
Thank you so much for imparting this lovely insight. Thank you. So my question is with respect to developing these qualities which we don't have. And very interestingly, in one of the seminars or sessions, please correct me if I'm wrong, please forgive me if I'm making a mistake. You mentioned this word, this phrase, fake it till you make it. So can you please explain what this means? And second, just following this is when you're adopting this process, there is a danger that we might be showing, we're trying to show humility, we're trying to show tolerance, but I may become duplicitous, may not develop these qualities. So there's a danger that I become duplicitous and not develop these qualities. Could you please?
So in Krishna consciousness, we say, fake it till you make it. That means even though I don't feel humble, I should act. Even though I don't feel enthusiastic in the kirtan, I should also just try to participate. And by faking it, that eventually I'll make it. So definitely there's some truth to that statement. However, there are also footnotes. Footnote number 1, don't fake it so much that you think you'll make it. Footnote number 2, don't fake it just to convince someone else that you made it. And footnote number 3, don't fake it without a sincere desire to make it. So if you follow those 3 footnotes, then fake it to make it when you're. But if you don't, then fake it to make it can end up making you very duplicitous. You need to just ensure those. It makes sense?
Hare Krishna. So, Bhadra Purnima is coming up on 18th September, next month. And as is mentioned, 18th September. So as is mentioned, the Bhagavatam, anyone who distributes a set of Bhagavatam on a gold throne on the day of Bhadra goes back to the spiritual world. Maharaj, since you are an avid book distributor, we would like you to say some words to enthuse the devotees here so that we can distribute more Bhagavatams. Just put it in reference. Last year, this chapter distributed 104 sets during Bhadra. And this year, we wish to do around 2,000.
Yes, I was mentioning this morning that Srila Prabhupada, he put his heart and soul into translating Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada said that he wanted every single individual to have a Bhagavatam set in their home. So yes, you have such a big city here, so many individuals, your friends, your family, your colleagues. Try to see if you can share Srimad Bhagavatam with them. As soon as the Bhagavatam set comes into someone's home, then it's actually a very powerful energy is coming there. Because remember, Krishna Tulya Bhagavata, that is Krishna in the form of a book. So, yes, if you want to be recognized by Srila Prabhupada, if you want to please his heart, you want to make him smile, then do what you can to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam sets. So many of us are here in this room. Even if one person did one set each, then so much could be done in terms of sharing this legacy of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, yes, please get involved. If anyone would like to take a Bhagavatam set today, or have one, then you can come out and see us have our Bhagavatam set. Thank you so much. The line, the segment of book is not cursing about committing either. We want your seeing, why does time have to progress? Thank you so much for giving us so many insights. You've given us such practical answers to so many questions that we just follow it nicely. We would surely progress to social life. We hope to present a better version of ourselves to you when you come back next year, that we spiritually progress. And we pray that you do visit us all and that we can get more of your education. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Let's start with Holiness Swayam Bhagavan Keshava Swami Maharaj for removing literally from his jam-packed schedule 2 days actually for on Juhu, and let us petition Maharaj that he comes back soon. His grand Brajari Prabhu offered a proposal to Maharaj to stay here for 1 month. At least a week. So let us all from the bottom of our hearts thank Maharaj for his time and for enlightening us so wonderfully by Maharaj very, 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 very loudly chanting the holy name.